People can say the most spectacular thing about The Greatest Showman are the amazing songs or the extensively talented cast, but I'd say that the most spectacular thing about the show are the actual stars of the circus, the performers, the freaks of society, the outliers hidden away from the world, concealed so no one can hear or see them. But instead of framing these people like oddities, P.T. Barnum portrayed them more like specialties. A crowd that has a secret, something which you never would have known if you didn't come to the show. That secret? They can dance and sing and act and put on a great show. But isn't that the whole point of entertainment? Their actual secret? It's that they're real people, not something to be looked at, thought of as disgusting, and be treated as if they're garbage. But actual people with real emotions, thoughts, likes and dislikes, hopes, dreams, and fantasies. When people came to the show, they expected to only see what was advertised: a 750-pound man, a bearded lady, a midget, and a giant. But when they left the show, they left with an experience they never would have expected, an experience which they shared with these strange people, and they actually enjoyed it. This one unexpected stunning show became such a big talking point that word of it even spread to the Queen of England. What happened to avoiding these people at all costs, shunning them away from everyday life? How could such an insignificant show with insignificant people create such a big societal uproar? Chapter 1: Cavalriero and Her Theories About Voice and Body. In her book For More Than One Voice Toward the Philosophy of Vocal Expression, Cavalriero tries to address a major philosophical oversight. Western philosophy has cared far more about what is said than who says it. It has privileged locals, rational meaning, abstract concepts, language as something detachable from the body. As a result, voice has been treated as secondary, merely a vehicle for words, or a dangerous, emotional, irrational surplus. Cavalriero argues that the human voice matters before meaning. She says that this is because of a few reasons. First of all, every voice is produced by a unique individual body. The first thing which is perceived is who is saying something, not what is being said. Secondly, every voice says something about the person who's speaking it. The voice of someone, which is being perceived before anything else, can tell certain things about someone, if they're male or female, a smoker, or if they're shy, for example. But it's not necessary to be able to put it into words. Just by hearing someone speak, you understand more about that individual. And thirdly, voice establishes a relation between speaker and listener before any meaningful content is understood. For example, in a song, a voice can be beautiful on its own, without the meaning of the song actually being understood. A voice can reach someone before they convey what they want to say. In short, a voice says who is speaking before it says what is being said. Chapter 2: The Spectacular Bodies and Their Voices. In The Greatest Showman, there are people who get upset because of what's happening at the circus. For example, how the freaks are given a stage instead of being hidden away from the world like before. But Cavalriero argues that it's not because of what they're saying or singing about, or that they're being put on a stage at all, but purely that these freaks, are singing, because of the presence that their voices are taking. Their singing voices are making connections to everyone who hears them, before they even begin to think about what they're saying. This is different from before, when they were hidden away from the world, and thus their voices were taken away from people's ears to hear them speak. So, Barnum's stage is a direct societal upset or disruption to traditional views of society. This new societal change wouldn't work if these peculiar people didn't speak or sing. If these people just stood in that room for them to be looked at, they would be an accommodation comparable to Barnum's previous business opportunity, a wax figure or a statue museum, a place where you can look at fascinating things. Their voices matter in a way that they are perceived in this new light. Because the singer is able to make this connection to the listener through her voice, they can convey a message within their words. The important thing here though is that the voice is not a tool for language, but language can be a tool for the voice. Letty Lutz uses this tool to convey her message through her beautiful singing voice. This message can be heard clearly in the song This Is Me. The song title basically already says what the song is about. In this song, she sings about what she and the other performers want, and sings about how they won't quit until they get it. It's the typical I want song in a musical. Although the message is very beautiful, I argue that it's not the words that make this message clear. The lyrics of This Is Me are very simplistic and not some intricately crafted poetry. It's not the words that convince the listener of their message. It's their voices, the loud, strained, belting voices that says something about these people. From a Cavalerian perspective, the song works not because of what is said, but because the singers claim space through vocal exposure and presence. Basically, because they sing with such passion and conviction, their voices are what connect the most with the people. Perhaps the simplicity of the words of this song are actually an upside. When they're performing this song in the circus, the audience can be heard clapping and singing along, with the exclamations of A and O in the final chorus. Along with the enthusiasm in the delivery of their singing, they're able to make a deeper connection to the audience who are hearing their voices. This also explains why the protesters during this song don't seem to be listening to a thing the performers are saying, but are still mad that they're singing. It's not because of what they're singing about, it's the fact that they're singing at all. When these marginalized characters sing, they stop being objects of discourse. They become subjects who address us. They're breaking societal boundaries by making themselves vocally present and seen. It doesn't matter what they're singing about. The fact that they're singing at all is breaking boundaries. Chapter 3: A Prima Donna and a Bearded Lady. Because of their singing, the performers of the circus are also coming free from certain boxes they were placed within, an ontological order. Even though P.T. Barnum is promoting his show through the promise of showing the freaks of the world, the performers go even further than just being put on a stage to be looked at. Take Letty Lutz, for example. She was being promoted as the Bearded Lady, a nickname which puts this person, this individual, into a very restrictive ontological box. Basically saying, look at this. This is something to be looked at. You want to see this. By singing and letting her voice be heard, Letty Lutz is breaking free from this box. She's showing the people that she's more than just her body, more than a female with a beard. She's an actual person, an individual who has wants and needs. Because of the connection she makes with her voice to the audience, they can know a little bit more of who she is on the inside, instead of only knowing who she is on the outside. Now compare this nickname to the one given to Jenny Lind, the Swedish Nightingale. Because nightingales are usually associated with good singing, this nickname invites people to listen to her, not just look at her. Jenny Lind is the embodiment of a prima donna in this musical, the phenomenal opera singer. Cavalero says that prima donna's voice is unmistakably hers, irreducible to score, and that every prima donna is unique. They're not reducible to a single representation of a prima donna, or even a representation of what a woman is or should be. Every single prima donna is only a representation of her voice, her body, and the here and now. This is why audiences can say that they want to go to a show purely because of the people playing in it. They want to experience their voice and the moment which it creates. But the overappreciation of the prima donna is also the beginning of the de-embodiment of the prima donna, such as Jenny Lind. Jenny's voice can be described as angelic or transcendent. These statements, though, are an attempt to de-body her voice. Her vocal human effort begins to become mythologized, and not one from an actual human individual. She gets further elevated into abstraction by Barnum's advertisement of something vocally exceptional. She's staged as a pure voice floating above the spectacle, instead of one within it, with her voice making the connection between her and the ones who hear her. In Cavarero's terms, this vocal alienation lets her voice be turned back into logos, and into an object of admiration, rather than an address to a listener. Jenny Lind's elevation into obscurity is supported by the fact that none of the drama surrounding her was ever about herself, the individual embodied Jenny Lind. P.T. Barnum wanted a good singer to prove that he could accommodate the upper class, and chose Jenny Lind to do this with because of the myths surrounding her voice, because she's supposedly the greatest opera singer in Europe. If another amazing singer was the greatest singer in all of Europe, he would have invited that other hypothetical person back to America. It wasn't about Jenny Lind as a person, but about the myth of her angelic voice. Letty Lutz and the troupe were disappointed in Barnum when he went away, not because it was with Jenny, but with someone or something which was seen as better than them, and because they left them just like society left them to their own devices. Barnum's wife, Charity, was upset with his husband, not because he kissed Jenny Lind on stage, also because of that, but also because he left their family and their small little life. She was also upset because she was done with that life associated with the upper class, and Phineas was trying to get into that kind of life. For Charity, Jenny was the embodiment of that upper life, not the embodiment of the person Jenny Lind. Later on, when Jenny reveals that she grew up within a poor family, this comes as a shock. She doesn't or isn't able to convey this message of her past within her singing voice, because her voice has long been detached from her body when she became the prima donna she's known for. Cavaliero mentions that the voice and body are inseparable in reality, and any attempt to isolate one from the other distorts subjectivity. Jenny and Letty's problems are two opposites, but also symmetrical distortions of vocal embodiment. They are not opposites in value, but mirror images of the same philosophical problem. While Letty lacks vocal authority and has her body speak for her instead of her voice, Jenny is elevated as a disembodied voice and misses bodily exposure. Her voice speaks instead of her body. Neither is allowed to appear as a vocal body, to become a whole human individual. So, did the performance of the Cirques actually constitute a societal change? And did they achieve what they wanted to? Well, yes and no. At the end of the movie, the performers looked genuinely happy. And like one of them said, Barnum has given them something which they never had before: a family. For the first time in their lives, they feel seen by anyone, with P.T. Barnum being the first to do so. They don't seem upset that they did not manage to change everyone's opinion about them. They probably didn't join the circus with the idea that they were going to change an entire society's opinion about them with a single kind of show. It was Barnum's promise that they, at least on that stage, were going to be praised for their talents. And at least that promise is something which came true. And even though these people probably didn't initially want to create a universal change, their debut into the mainstream spotlight was a big revolution. In the end, Barnum's show was accepted as a part of life going forward, so these people were at least accepted in this kind of environment. Although the birth of this circus wasn't the end of the racism they dealt with, it could be seen as a starting point towards further improvements.